Welcome to Scoop World Order. It is Sunday. We're going to do a little All-22 film review tonight. Appreciate you guys kicking it with us. We're going to take your questions, get through some film, talk Ohio State, Michigan. Obviously, this is the game, the week. What a huge opportunity for the boys. Ryan Day, obviously, this is the game of his life. Basically, he's got one that's put on the tee for him to win. I think he's got a better team. He's got better momentum. A lot of pluses for Ryan. So we're really excited to see what he can do. But as always, we appreciate you guys so much for kicking with us. This has been a monster month for us. We crushed the Michigan story. Great inside information coming in about the state of the team. We're going to have a nugget tomorrow. A lot of good stuff going on BuckeyeScoop.com. If you guys are not members of our website, BuckeyeScoop.com, the number one source for inside information for Ohio State football and really national college football, because we crushed the Michigan story. Again, Nevada Bucks sources have been absolutely fabulous, as long as the Oracle. They both run in different circles at very high levels, and they get very good information. So a big benefit to the site. Top-notch analysis. Bill the Bank Green does his thing. I'm on there constantly, so it's a great thing. It's a great Christmas gift, and this is a great time to join BuckeyeScoop.com. As always, we also launched Scoop Ultra, Buckeye Scoop Ultra, a part of our YouTube channel. If you love this channel and you want to be a part of a higher level of it, Buckeye Scoop Ultra is for you. We're going to do some private chats. We're going to break up some more film just for our Buckeye Scoop Ultra folks. So we appreciate you guys, as always, supporting the channel. It means a lot. If you guys have questions you're dying to have answered, send in a super chat. Those things stop the show immediately, and we will answer them. Again, we try to make you guys the smartest group of fans in the nation, and especially in the Ohio State sphere. So we appreciate you guys. If you enjoy this content, leave us a like, click subscribe. Also, click the little alert bell, and you'll get an alert when we go live. So get that chat fired up. Appreciate you guys kicking it with us tonight. Going to get right into the film room, and we're going to get those questions going as well. So again, we appreciate you guys. Flying solo tonight. Nevada has an obligation, but I figured I'd get into here. This is the first play of the game. This is a little Bucks sweep action that I absolutely loved. Again, this is a play that is really in vogue in college football right now, because they made it so that when you pull, that we pull center guard here, guard pull, center pull. This guy in the past, the way you would defend that with the defensive back, the cornerback, is you would tell him to cut the first puller. Literally go cut him, go run at his knees and take him out, create a pile, make it messy for the second puller. The NCAA banned that. That is now illegal. You can no longer cut pullers. So this play has become one of the fastest growing plays in college football. You watch a lot of the teams in the Pac-12, the SEC are running the buck sweep. This is the old wing T play, double guard center pull. Depending on who this guy is or this guy, sometimes you pull both guards. You get to this edge, and this is here. If we get this a little bit cleaner, Trey's gone. Literally on the first play of the game again, because it is so advantageous for these offensive linemen now that they can't get their knees blown out by a cut block. That was a rule they put into effect to try to help those guys out. But again, Trey is on a different level right now. Trey is a guy that he's a special player. We're gonna miss him. But I love the thing that Ryan Day does really well, and Justin Fry, when they do this, is they do some window dressing here. So they put, you got Cade here. He's your tight end one. But then you've got G. Scott. He's been playing better and better and better. He's really becoming a nice asset. He'll be our starting tight end next year. So you got him winged out here, and they do the little cheat motion. They call it the cheat motion because he kind of you see him. He kind of bows a little bit here. To get a little bit of a running start, kind of like he's in Canadian football. But a lot of teams in the NFL are doing this, and when stuff happens in the NFL, it trickles down to college football. So he gets a little bit of a running start here. And again, it just diverts the attention. You have to pay attention to the bubble screen with these guys out here. Again, it's just really good play design. It's hard to stop. Again, this is the kind of stuff I like. I want Marvin Emeka up top. I want Trey coming down to the bottom. When you do that, it makes it just so much harder to defend. It makes it so much harder to keep on to fight. Again, like there's easy stuff to stop in football. There's hard stuff to stop in football. That is easy stuff. Appreciate you guys joining us. The super chats are starting to come in already. I'm going to hold off for a second. So keep the super chats coming in. Again, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to get to those. If you guys have just regular questions, I'm going to take some questions tonight. Again, we're rolling along without Nevada. Nevada is he's on a flight right now, but he will be back tomorrow because he's the best. But we are going to grind some film tonight. So this is going to be our thing. Again, another nice play by Trey. This is good blocking on the backside here. Again, Josh Simmons has really been coming on, man. He's a guy. He's really athletic. He needs to get a lot stronger. But he's an NFL tackle in my opinion. He's a good pass protector. But here he is, nice backside B block. These guys take over. Um, I mean, him and Donnie, I mean, are getting better and better. Him and Donnie, they wrap up their two guys. Donnie could be a little bit cleaner, but Josh does a great job here. You work up to the double team. And Cade is Cade. Cade should win the Mackey this year. He won't because Brock Bowers is so good and his name is so big. But Cade's good enough to win the Mackey most years. But you see Trey again. This is just a beautiful run. These are the kind of runs you need to do against Michigan if the weather's bad. These little A gaps runs, but I mean we're pulverizing guys. I mean Matt Jones should be first team All Big Ten. He's been dominant all year. He's a 6-year guy. Again, I always dreamed of being a 6-year guy in college. My rookie year in the NFL, I was much better than I was my senior at Ohio State, and I couldn't imagine being a 6-year guy. A lot of these guys have had the benefit because of the COVID year. But we're pulverizing through two plays. The first was more finesse. That was straight pulverizing. So I just want to break some stuff down with you guys. Again, this is the thing that Trey does so well. He does everything. I mean, he's Jahmyr Gibbs. He's Bijan. He's that type of player in NFL draft circles. I talked to some guys that are pretty high up in the NFL. It's funny because a lot of the guys in 2012, when I was just a graduate assistant, a lot of the guys that were scouts and like area guys and whatever, they're GMs now. So I've got some really good context of guys that were kind of lemmings back then that have risen up the ranks. But they really like Trey. I mean, Trey's the kind of guy. Again, this is modern NFL football right here. Kyle, nice full field read. I mean, this is Kyle McCord just being excellent. Dishes it out to Trey. Again, that's the kind of stuff that in the NFL you're going to have to do. I'm going to get some of these super chats because they're starting to pile up. Appreciate these you guys as always kicking it with us. Let me get back on here. Lance Price Jr., appreciate you, brother. Thank you for the 5. Appreciate both you and Nevada. Thank you so much for the insight. After almost a full season with Kyle QB, can we say that he is the main culprit for Fleming's low numbers versus CJ? You mean in terms of Julian Fleming, I assume? I don't know if Julian, I feel like Julian Fleming is a guy that he was snake bit. He's had a lot of issues injury-wise with the shoulders. It's affected, I think, his ability to catch. Obviously, he never was anywhere close to his lofty ratings like the number one player in the country. But it's hard when you've got Marvin and Emeka and Cade and Trey and Chip and G Scott. I mean, sometimes you're a dog at the dog dish and there's just not much food left, So, I mean, I think that Julian, if he had have gone elsewhere, probably would have been a little bit more featured, but it's hard, man. Because when you've got Marvin and Emeka in front of you, I mean, those are target hogs, and rightfully so. Those are guys that you need to feature if you're Ryan Day. And then you've got Trey Henderson, who I think is the best running back in the country, one of the best running backs in school history. He's back. He needs 20 touches, 15, 20 touches. And then Chip needs 5 to 8 touches. And, by the time you look down when there's only 65, 70 plays, I mean, there's just not much left, I mean, so if he gets a couple touches, couple targets a game, that's good. But I just think that's what he is. And, he's had a nice career. He's a nice blocker and that type of thing. But, again, that's why I never get ultra excited about recruiting rankings. I think they're cute and they're fun and there's something to get jazzed up about. But until they do it in college and they become that factor in college, I just wait till they get out there and prove they can do the shoe. Because again, Marvin Harrison was not highly rated, which was shocking to me because Anthony Gonzalez is one of my best friends. Obviously, he played with Marvin Harrison Sr. He told me how incredible Marvin Harrison Sr., how hard he worked, how he was he was the guy. He told me a story one time in the summer. They have summer practice called OTAs. Marvin Harrison Sr. during special teams, they do all these periods and whatever review periods and stuff. He's Gonzo's a rookie or whatever, or second year guy, whatever. And he's got to do everything. And he's all locked in like a young NFL player is. And he looks way off in the distance. And he sees some little spot laying under a tree. And he looks down there and after a while he realizes that it's Marvin Sr. and he's taking a nap for the first 40 minutes of practice or whatever. So he's just laying down under the tree on head on the pad or whatever. And then all of a sudden they get to the team period where he's up and he takes turns and he jumps up, throws the helmet on. They're just in jerseys and he just shreds everybody. He was that on point and that good. So he, when they're doing all the riffraff stuff, the special team stuff, those kind of breakdown things, like, like, I mean, Marvin doesn't care about that because he's a Hall of Famer first ballot. But as soon as it came time for him to go, it was go time. And, so I knew that his son had that gear, but his son is also like supersized. His son's 6'4". Marvin Sr. was like a 6-foot guy, quick guy, ultra athletic, incredible technician, genius level football player, ultra fast. But, it was like he morphed into, like Megatron. It's like Megatron and Marvin Sr. had spliced their genetics and they made Marvin Harrison Jr. So that's terrifying, frankly. And we're gonna miss that kid. Obviously, it was his last game in the shoe yesterday. So I don't know. I love the kid, but I think Julian just it's tough. I mean, when you're that far down in the pecking order by no fault of your own, it just kind of is what it is. But I appreciate that, Lance. That's a great question. Todd Doyle, JJ went from great versus the blitz to horrible. Apparently, can't read coverage. Well, I've been saying it, guys. It's like, when that is going to be your core competency, is that you're going to steal signs and steal plays and steal everything. Like, when you get whacked and all of a sudden you can't cheat, like, it's kind of like Superman losing his powers in Superman 2. Like, you're not going to have a shot to actually be able to, decipher in real time. Because, I mean, it's hard, man. I mean, again, like, it reminds me of, like, if you're coaching like a young offensive line, like the second team O line, like I was at as a GA, you have the script in front of you, and the script a lot of times, when you're in practice and you're trying to get looks of things, it'll list what your pass protection is, and then it'll also list what blitz is coming from the defense. Because again, sometimes especially in training camp, like you'll coordinate it, like Luke Fickell would come over and ask Tom Herman, is there any certain things he wanted to see in like blitz period? And you say, yeah, like, can you work some corner blitzes in there, or can you work, the two, the Mike Sam or Sam Mike, or Sam Mike is it's like a cross dog deal, like, because there's certain stuff that like you want to get reps on camera of, and a lot of times, like, the coordinators, they work together because again, like, it's for the good of the order that there's certain passing concepts maybe the defense wants to see, and there's certain blitzes that we want to see. And so you kind of, help each other out and run them. You're not always it's not always competitive. It's more like, hey, let's get better and let's see if our guys are going to have to pick it up. So if there's an instance where I know that we've got, let's say, like a 5-man super easy protection, like we're in 5 wide receivers and it's literally just the offensive line, and I know what the blitz is, I feel like, it could make me and like Ed Warner look better as an offensive line if I sit there and say, hey guys, watch the corner blitz, and knowing that it's coming. And then all of a sudden, like, they get to the line and they magically like, oh, there's the corner. And they pick it up and we look great. But I don't think in the long run that helps the players. It might give you like an initial, like, yeah, that'll boy, good job guys. But if you help the players and they're not really picking it up on their own, they're not really reading the picture the way that they need to. So I think it's important to again, like the cheating, Michigan, they got really desperate because again, Jim Harbaugh had to take a pay cut for half, a 50% coupon on his contract. And, I just think that you do your kids a disservice when that is how you operate. And again, it worked. Again, Michigan went from being terrible to dominant against the spread and whatever. But, I mean, when you see how big it got and how bizarre it was, again, like, I go back to being, a GA that made $17,000 a year working at Ohio State. And, I mean, I couldn't imagine like me telling Tom Herman like what to call on every play, or telling like Luke Fickell what to call on every play. Like I couldn't imagine doing, or saying, hey, this is what's coming. I mean, it just, eventually they'd be like, dude, like, get away from me. However you're doing this, don't do it. Cause it's just, I don't know. But it's a great question. And I think JJ is in trouble. I really do. I mean, if we spy him, they're going to be dicks. I don't think their skill guys are that great. Casey, Scoop Ultraman, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for the 10. Michigan's D-line seems to have success on 3rd and long when the U.S. blitzes and stunts. Why are stunts so difficult to block in your guys' expert opinions? Great film review. Go Bucks. Well, honestly, stunts aren't really that hard to block. And by stunts, I assume you mean like twists, like a tackle end, where the end goes first. And where the, you know what I'm going to actually do for this? This is going to be to take it to the next level for you guys, I'm gonna try and find some of their stunts that they ran at the end of the game because they I think on the safety they ran a stunt. And a lot of times it's not really that the stunt is hard to pick up. It's just that the guys, the guys are they're just bad. I mean, sometimes it's just the O line just doesn't, they don't, like this. Like, all right, so here you go. So you're talking about stunts and blitzes. They get pressure. Again, to me, like unless you're going against like Aaron Donald and Nick Bosa, if you're going against just regular Big Ten guys, stunts are easy to pick up, in my opinion. So here they run a game. 17, who's like the fake Conor McGregor. His last name is McGregor. They run what's called a TE. So a TE means, this is a tackle, obviously defensive tackle. So that's the T, and he's the E, which is a defensive end. So they call this a TE, which means basically the tackle goes first, and he's what they call the penetrator, and then the end is the looper. So the penetrator's job is to pick off the tackle. The looper's job is to get to the quarterback. So when you do this, in general, the second guy is the guy whose job is to get to the quarterback. So here you see, and again, they're running like a funky front where they have a guy shaded to the. Normally, you put him on this side over here. You put the nose on this side, but they have the nose on the same side as the 3 technique. So that should be a dead giveaway that there's going to be a game. And I tell my guys, I'm like, look, if they line up in something like that, somebody has to do something. They can't just straight rush that because that'd be the dumbest thing of all time. So. Of course, the guy who's the nose, as soon as the ball snapped, he comes over here where he's supposed to be. He straight rushes. And here you've got your T, and then you've got your E. So he goes first, he goes second. And again, this is not hard. Again, what Joe Thomas was really good at left tackle is he would put his, he is a left tackle, so he put his right hand up in the air, and he would hold it there. And if he felt this 3 technique, this guy right here, penetrating, he would just grab him. And I did that too, because I thought I watched Joe Thomas do that when I was in college. And he was, me and Joe are the same age. So I mean, when he was at Wisconsin, I watched his set and I was like, that's actually really smart. So I started doing it, and I never got beat on one. Because like if this guy doesn't set out, if he just sets vertically, because against a 3 technique, I always tell my tackle, set straight back. Don't set out. Because when you do that, you open yourself up to a twist, which is exactly what this guy does. So he sets out, and he gives this big old path right here where he can get picked nice and easy. And then there's all this space for McGregor to get in here. Just watch. Boom. And there's just too much space for the guard. I mean, the guard's completely hung out to dry because the tackle has to help this guard here. That's the problem. So, yeah, is Michigan good at doing this? Yeah, but I think this is just trash O-line coaching. And again, if my guys did this, I would absolutely destroy them in film. Because I just think this is just poor coaching, honestly. Again, against the 3 technique, set vertical. Don't set out, or you're going to be open to twists all day. I mean, if you set out like this, I mean, I would twist against you every time. So you can't switch it. It's too hard. So, Big Bad Michigan is awesome, and they're amazing, and they're so good. But, like, that's on the offensive line. This is a poor set. So, and again, I love the question, Casey. Apologize for that. But I just think that it's, they made that easy on them, and you don't have to make that easy. I mean, again, if you just set vertical and you switch it, which is super easy to do. Again, like when I played with like TJ Downing, I used to pray they would do twists because like that means I get to block some fat, slow defensive tackle and not some speedy defensive end. And that's like stealing for me. It's the easiest thing in the world. So great question, Casey. Appreciate the 10. Josh Robido, thank you for the 2. If you have a question, try to throw that in the chat, and I'll look for it. But thank you, brother. Appreciate you as always. Chris Arms, appreciate you, my man. Thank you for the 5. Agree or disagree? Hardest hitting linebacker ever, Ryan Shazier. Fastest Buckeye ever, Ted Ginn, Paris Campbell. Watching from Fernandina Beach, Florida. Florida is awesome. I grew up in Naples, so God bless Florida forever and ever and ever. My in-laws actually live in Fort Myers, so I get down there a lot, kind of the old stomping grounds. Hardest hitting linebacker, hardest having Buckeye ever. I'm always going to go Jack Tatum just because Jack was literally the assassin. So he's my winner for forever and always. God bless his soul. He was a guy that spoke to us, and Jack did not cut any deals. Jack was an absolute wild man on campus. I mean, he was a legend. So that was my kind of dude. I loved, he was one of those guys that like when he would come to talk to the team, like I just couldn't get enough of it. It was like heroin to me to listen to some of these old Buckeyes that were really tough guys that played for Woody that were just absolute monsters, and how important it was to beat Michigan, and how, like those guys weren't buddy with Michigan. They weren't Instagram pals, and they didn't like each other's photos on Instagram. Those guys hated Michigan. And again, that was like kind of the cloth that I was from, because I didn't like those guys. I didn't care about those guys. I didn't care about their families. Didn't care about anything. Because in my mind, the Ohio State Michigan game is kind of like either your kids get to eat or their kids get to eat. And if that's the case, my kids are eating, not your kids. So that's kind of the mentality I always has. Like if it's my mom gets to be happy or their mom gets to be happy, then I'm gonna do everything in my power to do everything I can to make sure that's clear to the team. Look, only one team gets to be happy after that. There's no moral victories in this game. You got to win it. Fastest Teddy for sure. Two probably Galloway. Paris is obviously up there. We've had a lot of really fast guys recently. I just wouldn't pick anybody over Ted. Ted's an Olympic speed guy that probably could have been an Olympic hurdler if he had really trained for it or whatever. But again, I would love your thoughts in the comments. Give me your fastest Buckeye. Give me your hardest hitting Buckeye. Fantastic question. Thank you, Chris. Let me get back. I'm gonna switch the film back over to Ohio State. But yeah, like I said, this game means a lot. And again, for Ryan, I mean, this is it, man. This is OK Corral. I mean, we got pretty lucky because again, we got Sharon Moore, which I think is a benefit to us just because it's a little bit lighter than it is than Harbaugh. But I don't think it makes a huge difference. But Sharon Moore's got a lot of stuff to do. I mean, when you're the O-line coach and you're the coordinator and you're the kind of everything, man, that's a lot of stuff to break down. Let me get a few more plays up for you guys. Break these. But yeah, what do you guys know for the game? Put that down in the chat too. I want to check those out. Again, yeah. See, Sisson, this is good. So I mean, you read Tatum's biography when you were a kid. Always an all-time favorite. See, I mean, yeah, I think Cat's the Moyer for sure. I love the old time guys. Like the old timers. And again, it's sad because a lot of them are passing on. Like Tatum's passed on, John Hicks passed on. But those are the guys that kind of like molded me. Those are the guys that I couldn't get enough of. Like the contemporary guys are great, whatever. But like I like the old school guys, Stillwagon, just because those are the guys that like I studied. Again, I was always a student of Ohio State. I wasn't just like some guy that was some Johnny come lately that's like, oh, I got a scholarship, I'm just gonna go here. Like I was a student of Ohio State before I got to Ohio State. So I love talking about kind of the old timers and Woody and Earl Bruce and like the guys that really knew the rivalry and it was serious to them. Again, it wasn't like it was, the game isn't really a game. The game it's a war. And that's kind of the mentality I think you got to have. I'll tell you what, Chip is really playing well as well. I mean, the Chip and Trey 1-2 punch I think is going to be really critical, especially if the weather isn't fantastic up there. Got another super chat. Josh, appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much. The 5 score prediction for the game. Keep calling Sharon Moore Fat Albert. So he looks like Fat Albert. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean, but the dude looks like Fat Albert. I'm not sure yet. I want to say like a 28-17-ish type of game. But again, I'm kind of weather dependent to be real with you. Like I got to see what the forecast looks like going into it. Because it can all change. Like in the 07 game, my senior year when we played those guys, it was freezing rain the entire game. Like it was the coldest game I've ever been a part of. It was also the greatest game I've ever been a part of because it was glorious because it was so bad in the second half that we literally couldn't throw the ball. And I talked about this and I'm like, that is when you really gotta, nut up and run the rock. And thank God we had Beanie and our O-line was coming off the rock and we were going hard. But I mean, Todd couldn't throw it. He threw a pick, and after he threw a pick, Tress literally did not call a pass for the rest of the game. And I'm talking the entire second half, it was nothing but runs. We ran ISO and power. We ran 2 plays like 40 times. Left, right. And it was like we ran 2 or 3 different plays. But that's what it called for. Because again, we couldn't throw it. I mean, the ball was slipping out of his hand, and he threw that pick, and Tress literally said, and thank Christ for our defense. And Jim Haycock, God bless his soul. Every time I see him, I almost give him a hug and a kiss because we were number 1 in total defense that year. And we had Vernon Golson, we had Cam Hayward, we had Dexter Larimore, we had James Laurinaitis, Marcus Freeman, Malcolm. The captains that day were me, James, and Malcolm. And I mean, like, I used to just love watching our defense because I knew, like, if those guys were, because if we couldn't throw it, then Michigan surely couldn't throw it. And our defense, that was the game where Vernon made, $60 million because he dominated Jake Long. He had like 3 sacks and, he was just epic that day. And again, I went against Vernon every day. I knew Vernon was good, but I didn't ever give up 3 sacks against him. So it was kind of cool watching him put it on those guys. But score, like I'm thinking like 28-17-ish, 28, 20-ish. But again, I just want to look at the forecast. PJ Studio, appreciate you, my man. You played in the rivalry. Can you walk us through the trip to Ann Arbor up to kickoff? What day/time do you leave? Travel by bus? How many meetings do you have at the hotel? Must be mad. Yes, this is a great question. Again, I love doing this because I love trying to fill you guys in with what it's like leading up to the Michigan game. So, generally for like a noon away game that's close, like Michigan, you get to the Woody Hayes at like 10 or 11 or whatever. You do your meetings, you do your walkthrough. Generally, like you'll have meetings, you'll review all Thursday's practice. You'll do, you do like a walkthrough outside, where you'll do like a specialty review where you kind of go through all the substitutions across like punt return, kickoff, kick return, field goal block. And then like the offense and defense, they split up and they do like a walkthrough where you walk through, like 30 plays or whatever, really easy pace. And then after that, it's, get cleaned up, get on your travel gear. If we used to travel in a coat and tie. I think they travel into sweatsuits now. And they bus to the airport. And then they fly up to Ann Arbor. Back in like '04, we actually used to bus up. We bus to like Purdue and Ann Arbor and a bunch of different places. So, but they fly now. You fly up to Ann Arbor. You stay outside of Ann Arbor at a hotel. I can't remember where the hotel was, but I know one of them is Ypsilanti, but I think that's Michigan State. But you stay and you get to the hotel, and that's kind of when the clock starts winding. And usually, like the Friday night, there's like chapel. There's a team movie you can watch, or you can go kick it in your room. Like a lot of times, I would just go kick it in my room because I didn't really kill. You'd have your team meal. Like we'd always have like our team dinner the night before, and then you've got like 90 minutes of free time before chapel. And so I would just go kick it in my room, whatever. And my senior year, they'd let us rent a movie. You could rent like one of the, like whatever movies are out of the theaters that can actually, that you can like rent them in the hotel or whatever. So I remember Rory Nickel and I rented Superbad. And Superbad was a hilarious comedy. If you guys haven't seen it, it's one of the funniest movies I've ever seen. And I'd never even heard of it. And they're like, we got to watch Superbad. And I was like, okay, whatever. Is it suck? And we're playing Michigan tomorrow, so don't. And I was dying laughing. And I was the guy like the day before a game, I was pretty loose. I didn't have anxiety. I wasn't scared. So I was usually cutting up pretty good, having a good time. And I remember we watched that and I was like, this is great. Cause like, it's when you've got all this, you got like this massive game the next day. It doesn't hurt to get loose a little bit and have a little bit of fun and chill. Cause the next morning it's like it's Full Metal Jacket. I mean, it's Vietnam. It's not, there's no more chill at that point. Once that sun comes up and, especially for a noon game, especially against Michigan. Again, I had this thing where it was weird because I was the guy that started as a freshman in '04, and then I didn't have all my homies were gone. So Gonzo was gone, Ted Ginn was gone, Troy Smith was gone, TJ Downing was gone, AJ Hawk and Mangold and Sims. Those guys left 2 years earlier. So all the guys that I started with in '04 were gone, and I was the last guy left. So I was like the last of the Mohicans going up there. I was the only guy that started in the '05 game that was still there. So it was weird. And on the other sideline, they had Jake Long, who'd started in the '04 game, and they had Chad Henne started in the '04 game, and Mike Hart, and those guys were the big dogs, and they were picked to win the Big Ten, and we were picked to be third in the Big Ten because after we got waxed by Florida, everyone thought we would suck the next year, and I was really proud of the team in '07 because we were picked third in the league, and nobody thought really highly of us, but we really were a team that overachieved. Because the best thing you could do as a captain is they could say that your unit overachieved, and we overachieved that year because '08 was the year they should have won it. They had like 20 guys back. They lost me and Vernon, and they had everybody back, and they ended up losing to SC, and they didn't do as much. But the day of, it's bus to the game, get the win, and then you bus home, which is interesting. There's some guys that'll go home with their parents if they want, but I always like the bus ride home because I'd always pack like I usually get a bottle of Crown Royal for the ride. I'm not, this is, whatever, but I mean, I'd put it in like a Gatorade bottle, and we get some Diet Cokes, and we'd have some drinks. Gonzo always had good cigars, so we'd smoke some cigars in the locker room. That was the funny thing is like in '06, I got nailed for smoking that cigar at the press conference, and I was like, guys, we smoke cigars after every Michigan one. Like we did one in '04, I did one in '04, I did one in '05. There's actually a photo I put out where I was smoking literally right outside the stadium in '05. It's like one of my favorite photos. So in '06, where I got busted for smoking at the press conference, like that was when I was like, well, I'm gonna bring, if you're gonna bring these nice cigars, I'll bring a bottle of champagne. We'll just drink that and smoke the cigars in the locker room. So I'm drinking the champagne and smoking the cigars, and then all of a sudden, they're like, well, Kirk, you got to go to media now. And I'd like just gotten this cigar lit, and like my hands are all pruny because I was sweating. I had these stupid gloves on for 4 hours. So I cut the gloves off and my hands are nasty and I'm trying to fiddle a match and nobody had a torch. So I finally get this thing lit and I'm puffing on it. And Steve Snap, God rest his soul, is like, Kirk, well, you got to go to media now, dude. And I'm like, dude, I just got this thing lit and we don't have any more matches. So screw it. So I walk up there and I'm burning the cigar the whole time. And I'm talking to the media. I don't think anything of it. And then like the next day, it's like the lead story on ESPN.com. And I was like, damn. But it was like, but I mean, again, I didn't really care because we just beat Michigan in the 1-2 game. Like when you've got this like avalanche of stress that comes with those games and you actually get it done and you actually win, you got to enjoy it. I mean, come on. Like, I mean, we're human beings, right? I mean, when we beat Michigan, if we beat Michigan on Saturday, I mean, and you guys crack a couple beers, you eat some chicken wings or whatever you guys want to do, eat pizza, you might knock your old lady up, like whatever. Whatever you need to celebrate, like great, because you guys are probably gonna be real happy because I think we're gonna win. Actually, I know we're gonna win. So I'm just saying, like, you got to enjoy the little moments of life. But that's a great question, PJ. I hope I answered it good enough for you. Got another super chat in from JC. Appreciate you, my man. Oh God, you guys are pulling at all of my like heartstrings right now when you ask questions like this. Will the team have a food tester this year? Thanks for the 2, JC. Again, appreciate you, brother. I was the most paranoid human being in the world when I would go to these road games. I'd go to these road hotels. I'm telling you, it's like, you go to like Ypsilanti and you're at Michigan State and you're at this Hilton or whatever, this Marriott or this Hilton Garden, whatever it is. And like all of the girls that usually it's a staff of like women, they're usually younger women. They usually look like they're in college or whatever. And they work at the banquet, the little banquet hall where they serve us. And like, we'd always give them like Ohio State hats. So they'd all wear Ohio State hats. And like, I would talk to these girls sometimes, like not to hit them, just say, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm a student at Michigan State. And I'd be like, so you actually go to Michigan State. You probably love Michigan State. And you're serving us our little filet and chicken and a little slab of lasagna. And I'm like, I was just like, it would be so easy to like knock out, BD Wells or me or like, I mean, honestly, if I'm going to poison somebody, I'm poisoning the running back and the quarterback. That's it. You can take out 2 guys and the whole thing changes. But I was always paranoid about the food on the road. I hated it. I'd pray to God. I try to eat it as fast as possible and try to get out of my system as fast as possible. But that is a really funny question. It's a great question. Jared, appreciate you, man. Thank you for the 5. What do you think the chances are that the team up north still knows a decent amount of our signs on Saturday, given how much their scheme was focused as? I don't think there's any chance. I mean, I think Ryan, after the last 2 years and after all this came out, we're gonna have all new signals. I would bet the ranch, I bet my house, I would go to the bank and get as much money out as I could get on loans, on junk bond rates. I wouldn't care, and I'd bet all on the fact that Ryan's gonna have new signals. I bet everything on that, just because. Why chance it? I mean, it's already cost us 2 games. It cost CJ Stroud 2 Heismans. Again, it's just, there's just no chance. I mean, again, we're onto these guys. They know we're onto them. I think that they're scared to death, but I think that that's part of the deal at this point. I'll get back into the film right now. Keep the super chats coming, guys. You guys are pouring these things on. Just make sure I didn't miss any of them. Yeah, Sharon Moore is definitely Fat Albert, though, which is always funny to talk about. Let me see. All right. Okay. All right. I'm going to get back in this film. All right. So Chip is really doing some good stuff here. So again, here's our boy Julian. We were talking about him a little bit ago. The little cross motion. You got G in the game. We run this little counter play. Again, this is tough for G just because he's, it's tough for any tight end to basically become a pulling tackle. But you're pulling him. He's looking to find work. And again, this is really good. This is really good by Matt. Matt logs this guy here, seals him up. G's got to just get in this guy's way, do the best he can to run through him. Again, this is tough, but he absorbs it. I mean, again, that's enough. I mean, you don't have to. It doesn't have to be Nate Newton every time. You just absorb him, get in his way. Again, do you wish it was a little bit more physical? Yeah, but the guy didn't make the play, so it works. So here's Chip. Chip's a real shifty dude. He's a guy that he'll be on an NFL team in a preseason. He's like the kind of guy who'll tear up a preseason game, end up making a roster, being a long-term NFL guy. He'll be a good special teams guy, but he runs real shifty. Again, this is a nice little 10-yard gain on first down. And again, like if it's rainy and crappy, I mean, Chip's style is really good for bad weather. Here again, this is Trey. Again, this is why he's a first rounder and our other guys aren't. It's because we're running basically kind of the same counterplay here. You got your guard, you got G, and but Trey is kind of dead to rights here because this guy is free. He's totally unblocked, and he's right in the hole with Trey. But Trey hits the Madden joystick and goes, and, he hits this little jump cut here. This is the $1 million move right here. This is why he's going to be worth a fortune. That little jump cut right there. That's not natural. Then he hits sixth gear in about 2 steps and he gets the touch. So, when people ask me about why is he who he is, why is he such a coveted guy? It's the speed, obviously. It's his physicality. He's gotten a lot better in pass protection. He's just a smart player. He's a really heady player. And again, it's a crime against humanity that he wasn't healthy the whole season because he was healthy the whole season. He's a first-team All-American. Doak Walker. Again, going into last season, he was the preseason All-American running back on every list on Athlon, on Phil Steele. And, he was robbed because of the foot injuries. He's kind of had like a kind of an Adrian Peterson type of career where he's just been snake bit. Josh, I'm going to get you going here. This is great. Thank you for the 5 minutes. Speaking of Superbad, did you have a Ghostbuster lunchbox full of Harbaugh pocket glizzy picks? That is fantastic. That's a great reference. That if you guys haven't seen that movie, it is one of the funniest parts of the movie where Jonah Hill. I'll let you guys watch it because I don't want to get too deep into it, but I mean it is one of the funniest movies I've ever seen, and it happened, and it's always gonna be like one of those things where it was sentimental because I watched it the night before my last Michigan game that we won. Obviously, if you lose that game, then you hate the movie forever, but it was really good. Got to get this film queued up for the next clip. Keep the super chats coming, guys. I hope you guys are doing good. What are you guys doing for the game? I'm gonna look at your chats real quick and see what's cracking. You think? And also, do you guys think Marvin wins the Heisman? Put that in the chat because I think I can't imagine who could beat Marvin for the Heisman right now. As long as we win, if we win, it's the Heisman. So again, like the amazing thing about the last 3 Michigan games, counting this one, is it's literally determined the Heisman winner. Because if we win the last 2, CJ is a 2-time Heisman winner. And this is when we win. Even if Marvin doesn't do much, I mean, it's still going to be sizable. So, all right, I'm going to get back into here. My boy Jack Sawyer is playing really good football right now. Again, this is just a product of just good scheme. You got your edge set up top. Every gap is accounted for. Ty Lake doing a great job. Ty Hamilton doing a good job. And and they spill it, and he goes to wind it back right to the free guy, which is Jack. Jack makes the play. That's perfect structure of the defense. It's guys all doing their jobs. Again, you get to the next play. These guys get a little looser, trying to get upfield a little bit. They run a little draw here. And again, Jordan Hancock is not scared of anything. This kid, he's a nickel back, and he's in here in the slot like he's a Sam linebacker. And this is the kind of stuff you need to beat Michigan. You need this physicality, and he's not scared. Look, shoots his gun, boom, gets him down. Guys rally. Again, like the team defense has just been spectacular. Hang on, we're getting more super chats. I got to get these things locked down. But yeah, I think that like the overall physicality of the defense has been really impressive. But I just think the way these guys play within the scheme, it bodes really well for what Michigan does. Because what Michigan does is not hard to stop. I'm just telling you, you just got to do the right things. If you get out of your gaps and you play loose, then they can cream you. But yeah, I mean, Maryland wasn't scared of them, and we beat the dog out of Maryland, and you guys know that. I love Jesse, you're the funniest. Marv better be after that hype video on Twitter. I mean, I can't imagine how you couldn't do. How could you not want Marvin to be part of the Heisman? Again, it reminds me, I've said it 50 times in the last 2 weeks, of when Larry Fitzgerald was up to win the Heisman, and instead they gave it to Jason White. Jason White was had all these gaudy numbers at Oklahoma. They got smashed by USC too in the national championship. But like, you pass on Larry Fitzgerald, who's a first ballot Hall of Famer, a gentleman, one of the greatest receivers who's ever lived, for Jason White, who's in the NFL for about 6 minutes. And I don't know. I hope they don't make the same mistake because Marvin has no ceiling. Marvin could be in discussion to be the greatest receiver that's ever lived, with his trajectory and his mindset and his focus. So, I don't know why you wouldn't want to add that to your deal. Thanks, Jesse. I know you're always in here, so appreciate you, my girl. All right, I'll get back to the film. Again, this is good. Cody's a guy. I mean, Cody Simon is really come on now. I mean, this guy just kind of falls and Cody makes a miss, but Cody's coming on strong. Again, it's sad when some of these guys, you feel like they're just starting to really come on, and he's already at senior day, him and Steele, and we have three senior linebackers that are playing really good ball. Here, this is just a mishmash. I'll fast forward to some plays that are worth actually breaking down. Keep the super chats coming, guys. I appreciate you guys filling me in with some of your thoughts. Well, give me your score predictions. I want to see your score predictions. Oh my God. Todd, you're killing it, man. $5. Maybe Bill Cosby introduces more at the next pressure. Hey. Dude, I mean, I can't be the only one this season. I mean, especially after he cried and stuff. I'm like, dude, like, you don't need to be out there crying. Like, I mean, dude, like, you got to be like the strong silence. If you got to be a guy that like these guys want to follow, and you're out there whining like you got dumped before homecoming, and it just didn't make any sense to me, man. Like, you got to be like the guy. You're the guy they all look to. Like, I could imagine like Urban Meyer getting up at a press conference and just starts bawling his eyes out with tears, and he became like crying Jordan. Like, it's after his first game as head coach, which is wild. Yeah, I'm getting to a couple more that we can break down. Our kicker's been good too. Again, I know I don't want to jinx that after the Georgia game last year, but our kicker's been pretty good. Me at 47-yarder. But yeah, the hey thing is great. I think this is a good one. I think Jelani is the next tight end. I mean, I think Jelani could. I mean, I don't know if he'll pass G up, but his ceiling is a million times higher than G's. I mean, if you just look at Jelani, Jelani just has to keep his nose clean in the offseason. Because again, a lot of these freshmen, especially now that they've got money, they can while out. They all of a sudden they're not at practice for 4 hours a day and meetings, and so they get a little bit of freedom and they got a bunch of money in their pocket. Like, that's like a recipe for disaster. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles it, because I don't think Jelani has zero issues physically. It's just can he keep it locked in? Like, that's what I've been told, is like, can he keep it locked in? Because that kid should have played a lot more as a freshman for as talented as he is, but he just he's a young kid. He's a young wild. He's a young Thundercat, and I get it. And he's got some ice, and he's living the dream. I got another tray around here I want to break down. 21's like, yeah, I know Urban wouldn't cry. I mean, Urban makes everybody else cry, especially his former coaches that were scared of him. Yeah, but I mean, I love your score predictions. I think you guys are kind of right on point. See, I don't know if Hero Canoe is outplaying Hamilton. He has such a small sample size, but Hero's got a nice future. I think he's really good. I think he's a guy that could be a guy that could be a big factor. We're gonna need him to be a big factor next year, especially if Tyleek leaves. I think Tyleek's gonna be gone to the league. This is a good play here. We need a little bit more physicality out of Matt, but we stretch him out pretty good. Carson gets enough. I think Carson literally puts his fingernail on this guy, and it's enough to get him done. But this is kind of all Trey. And this is interesting. Is this K down? Oh, this is Julian. So this is good by Julian. Again, Julian's done a great job blocking at the point. That's a 4-second block he's got to hang on there. The guy finally falls off and makes a play, but it's after we gain about 9 yards. So it's again, that's kind of the beauty of it with what we're doing. Here's where Ryan kind of lost his mind here at the end of this half. It was kind of amazing, I thought. So Trey to the crib. Again, this thing gets cut, but this is a 75-yarder. He hits the jump cut. He's gone. So, I just think that Trey's on a different level right now than these guys. What else do you guys want to know? I'll take some. We got another super chat. Yeah, we got the super chats coming in too. Who are your MVPs for the game? Put that in the chat, because I'd love to see. Cause I think it's got to be Trey. It just has to be. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. Well, I think I'm gonna wrap this thing. Put your stuff in the chat, and we're gonna go again tomorrow when I get Nevada back. So hope you guys have a good night. I'm gonna jump on BuckeyeScoop.com. I got an article I gotta write up. So appreciate you guys kicking it with us for a little bit tonight. Again, we had a great time. It's been absolutely fantastic rolling with us for these this last month or so. So we'll be back again tomorrow with Nevada. I hope you enjoyed the film breakdown. Again, but I appreciate you guys so much. You guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you so much, Scoop family, and thank you, Buckeye Nation. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Go Bucks.